Greetings, everybody. Ben here from Unity Earth, and it's my great privilege and honor to be here with the chair of the Parliament of World Religions, Miss Audrey Kitagawa. Audrey, great to see you.
Hi, Ben. Great to see you too.
Well, what an auspicious occasion that has brought us together today, Audrey, to celebrate this extraordinary moment when the Caravan of Unity across America and around the world arrives into Chicago on September 11, this incredible date for so many reasons. But going back to 1893, that first day of the Parliament of World Religions in Chicago, including that extraordinary historic speech and address of Swami Vivekananda to the people of America, where he began, brothers and sisters of America. And his speech had a standing ovation, which lasted for minutes and resounds still around our hearts and around our world. And here we are 127 years later, honoring this extraordinary heritage and legacy of the Parliament of World Religions, which you are the chair. And since 1993, when the Parliament was reconstituted to begin its modern era, again in Chicago, and so many times over the last 27 years has convened in different parts of the world. And Audrey, I've been blessed to be at three of the Parliament of World Religions here in Melbourne, in Salt Lake City, and in Toronto in 2018. And I just want to attest what an unique contribution that the Parliament, as the world's premier interfaith institution, has made, is making, and will have on our planet's spiritual journey and evolution. It's a tremendous honor to be with you here today, Audrey, to celebrate this moment and the incredible contribution of the Parliament of World Religions to the interfaith movement, to peace building, and to an increasingly goodness in our world. Let me begin, if I may, Audrey, with the first question. Today, we're celebrating the birthday of this first ever Parliament of Religions in Chicago. How would you characterize the Parliament's role throughout history, particularly over the last 3 decades since 1993?
Well, Ben, thank you so much for your kind invitation for me to be sharing this moment in time with you. And first of all, let me express my appreciation to you and Unity Earth's Caravan of Unity initiative that has made it a point to include the Parliament of the World's Religions in its Chicago arrival as it goes across the United States. And yes, today we are celebrating the Parliament's 127th anniversary since its inaugural convening in Chicago. And I wanted to share some very important words from Swami Vivekananda's message because it lives through the eons of history because of its profound and universal message that it contains. So he said, he quoted a childhood hymn which goes, "As the different streams, having their sources in different paths, which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee." So this is the call that through all of the diversity that exists, the sacred pathways to the divine will lead us back to the divine Godhead. So we are on a sacred journey through whichever path we take, that we will ultimately come to the realization of our divine eternal union with God. So the speech he gave is also very relevant for the issues which we are faced today. So it is really well worth hearing again. And he said that he quoted the Bhagavad Gita, the beautiful song of God, that is one of the epic poems in the Mahabharata. And he said, quoting, "Whosoever comes to me, through whatsoever form I reach him. All men are struggling through paths which in the end lead to me." So there again is that affirmation that all the different paths will ultimately take us to the divine source. So he further said that sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant fanaticism, which have long possessed this beautiful earth, and they have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often and often with human blood, destroyed civilizations, and sent whole nations to despair. And had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. but the time is come. And I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention may be the death knell of all fanaticism, of all persecutions with the sword or with the pen, and of all uncharitable feelings between persons wending their way to the same goal. So these important words continuously reinforce the fact that we are on a sacred journey, ultimately heading to the important purpose in life, and that is to realize our eternal union with the divine. So the mission of the Parliament is to cultivate harmony among the world's religions and spiritual communities, and to foster their engagement with the world and its guiding institutions in order to achieve a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. So to accomplish this, we do invite individuals and communities who are equally invested in attaining this goal. So how we have been able to accomplish this goal since 1993 is to invite individuals and communities who are equally invested in this goal to join our periodic international convenings that provide a huge platform under a unifying umbrella. And our last convening was in Toronto, as you know, in 2018, where approximately 8,300 people from over 81 countries presented over 2,065 programs. And I know I myself was on, several programs with you. So it provides a full immersion, experiential moments that provide learnings, teachings, and personal transformation to see the goodwill that is generated by the coming together of people from diverse cultures and religious communities to really celebrate and honor life and being together in community. And I think that's very important role that the Parliament plays. So the Parliament helped to launch the global interfaith movement, which is absolutely flourishing today, as more and more communities of faith engage in working together to address significant challenges, to know that we can create global transformation to make this world a better place. And this is also part of the work that you are doing with these beautiful worldwide events and, the Holy Land, Holy Water trip, the World Unity Week, and now the Caravan of Unity. Everything speaks to the unifying field of consciousness in which we all exist. And so this word unity is very important. And of course, unity, it's in your name of your organization, Unity Earth. And so it is very important to see how we converge and come together at many points in time to reinforce the work of each other.
Thank you so much, Audrey, for that beautiful, fulsome answer. What a tremendous inspiration it is to be with you and to hear these words of wisdom and words of hope and light. And, it's such a challenging time on our world right now for so many different reasons. So the inspiration that you bring, that the Parliament brings, and that the interfaith movement offers is more essential now than ever. Let's take a moment to reflect and watch a beautiful historical montage of the Parliament of World Religions through the years. Would you like to introduce this video, Audrey?
Yes, this is a very short video. It's just about 5 minutes long. So as you know, it gets the longer the history, the shorter the video. It's quite a feat to represent, the Parliament's history. But what it really does is show this beautiful moments in time when people engage and enjoy being in each other's presence, and the experiences of being together to celebrate life. So let's take a look at that video now and recount all of our moments in time together.
And brothers of the nation, I will quote to you, brethren, a few lines from a hymn which I remember to have repeated from my earliest boyhood. As the different streams, having their sources in different places, all mingle their water in the sea, so, O Lord, the different paths which men take through different tendencies, various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee.
Today's world really need constant effort to bring closer all different religious traditions. That's, I think, and then we can make more effective role to bring compassion on this planet.
Each and every one of us makes a difference. Each one of us has a life that matters.
God is one. Humanity is one. We are one.
We may speak different languages. We may come from different shades and different thoughts and different schools of and different walks of life. But we are one.
In the end, we recognize why we have come here in the first place. and that is to remember our connection to that divine source, that infinite wellspring from which we have all arisen and to which we will all return.
Amazing to see the extraordinary journey over 127 years and what it looks like, and the modern era, all those different parliaments. And what a great job your team has done, Audrey, in condensing that into 5 minutes. No mean feat. I want to just share the 3 parliaments that I've been fortunate enough to be at, the last 3. Really, the experience of being there is hard to describe for people who haven't been there. I've never made it to Burning Man, but I know for people who go to Burning Man, they have an experience of deep flow, synchronicities, and meeting the right people at the right time and connecting in such a way. And I have to say, that's been my experience in an interfaith spiritual context of each of the parliaments in their own way, have been an experience almost like being heaven on earth. Because you have every religion, not only religions, but indigenous wisdoms and spiritual traditions and emerging forms of spirituality. It's not just religions anymore. It really is an entire banquet of human spirituality. And to be there over those 3, 4, 5 days of the parliament is an experience of being in deep, synchronous flow of connection and synchronicity. It truly does feel like an advanced outpost of heaven on earth when we're at these. They're much more than a convention. So, Audrey, what would you say is the unique role that the parliament is playing in the evolution of interreligious harmony and the spiritual evolution of our world?
Well, thank you so much, Ben. You know, the Parliament is moving into the new frontiers of implementing this paradigm of cooperative engagement. So more and more, we are joining with other interfaith organizations and communities of faith to address our challenges of climate change, the COVID crisis, and the racial, economic injustice and disparities that our current citizen movements are also demonstrating. So I think all of these challenges create the call for this kind of cooperative engagement, because there is no one individual, one organization, one country that can face these challenges alone. It is going to take cooperative engagement. So this paradigm is very, very important. And the Parliament is seeing to it that we move towards this cooperative engagement. And the Parliament is also stressing the importance of returning to our common morality, as is expressed in its signature document, the Parliament's Global Ethic. Now, there are 5 important directives of this global ethic, and I'll very briefly and quickly share them with you. Number 1 is a commitment to a culture of nonviolence and respect for life. Number 2 is a culture of solidarity and a just economic order. Number 3 is a commitment to a culture of tolerance and a life of truthfulness. And number 4, commitment to a culture of equal rights and partnership between men and women. And number 5, the commitment to a culture of sustainability and care for the earth. So the word commitment in and of itself is extremely important because it indicates that you are going to step forward and really honor and respect the undertaking of these principles and values for living. So having this common morality goes beyond any one religion, yet it is that moral and sacred ground of being that gives rise to all the sacred texts, scriptures, and values that seeks to guide our conduct. So it is a way of being that speaks to the development ultimately of our hearts to love more deeply, to have compassion and caring for each other. And this is, the work of what faith religious communities do. And that is to create that moral ground of being that helps us to have that internal spiritual discipline so that we can be present in the world as loving, compassionate people.
What a beautiful mission and contribution, and testify, Audrey, that the Parliament lives up to that grand ideal and that grand vision. It really is a source of a ray of hope and inspiration for so many people around the world, Audrey.
Well, Ben, I'd like you to share, because we were on panels together, and at one of the panels that we presented on, especially on this whole concept of interspirituality, it's a presentation of also new evolving ideas and concepts that speak in a different language about this interreligious harmony and spiritual evolution that is taking place in the world. So share with us your personal experience of being at the Parliament, and especially bringing forth on that panel a new concept.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Audrey. It's certainly something very profound to be experiencing that extraordinary diversity of the Parliament, this incredible bouquet of diverse beauty, spiritual traditions and forms. And yet what holds it together is a pervasive that, words always get us into trouble, don't they? But
yes,
that pervasive thing that goes beyond words, that God consciousness, which permeates each in their own way. And of course, the Buddhists will have Theravada Buddhists will have a certain interpretation of that. And each different religion has a different interpretation of that ultimate value, that which is of ultimate value. The universe, source, God, Dharma, it has many names and many concepts, not just many names, but many concepts of what ultimate reality is. And yet when we come together with respect and love, like you beautifully laid out there in the charter, there is something where we're able to hold our relationship to the ultimate truth and to be in relationship with another's relationship to that ultimate truth, and the difference which can be celebrated within the pervasive oneness of that we are part of the same fabric of reality by many names, by many concepts, by many understandings. And that this spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood, which celebrates diversity, rather than being challenged by it, and rather than needing to dominate and say, we have the right, correct theology, we have the right, correct orthodoxy, but to come into a spirit of genuine communion with another, and to be in awe of the diversity, to be in awe and wonder and with gratitude for that diversity, which is much larger than any one human mind can conceive, much larger than any one even spiritual tradition can fully conceive. And that when we come together, we are something more than the sum of the parts, and something new is created, which is this transcendental whole. So I've experienced that at the Parliament. And the beautiful thing about it is people don't need to give up their traditions. They don't need to give up their commitments, their faith, declarations. We can have that. It's that, and it's to include and to go beyond. And I've experienced that. It's not something that's easy to talk about in an essay or a dialogue. It's something that's truly felt in experience, Audrey.
And yes,
that
I
experience,
think that's the unique role of the Parliament, is that it is experiential. I mean, it's almost like you have to be there, but it really does transform people. So, it's the opportunity to come together and understand that we are more alike than we are different. Yes. And it seems to solidify our humanness and our humanity.
Yes, absolutely. And there's something mysterious that happens, is that when coming into contact with all of these different views and different traditions and spiritualities and concepts of God and the divine and the universe, rather than people's faith being challenged, somehow it's actually deepened. And you see one's commitments to their own personal spirituality or their own faith commitments in a religious context actually deepen in that relationship. So there's something beautiful and mysterious, and yes, it is experiential in a very, very deep way, and something profoundly mystical at each of these. So, well, I'm really excited about where the Parliament can go from here, Audrey, after 127 years of having an impact and being such a leading light for interfaith, intercultural, human sisterhood and brotherhood. I know a lot of people are wondering what happens next. Where does the Parliament go from here? Post-COVID, during COVID, I mean, after this, the world has changed. Every part of the world has changed these last 6-7 months. And here we are celebrating the Caravan of Unity here in Chicago on the 127th birthday of the Parliament of World Religions. So what an auspicious opportunity to ask you, Audrey Kitagawa, what are your hopes and dreams and visions and plans for the future of the Parliament of World Religions over the coming years, over the coming decade, over the coming decades?
Well, we certainly hope to be able to provide these expressions and avenues of expressions where we can come together to celebrate life in songs, in dance, and to really appreciate that in the context of our multiplicity, in all of the richness of our cultural diversity, that the presence of our humanity is there, like a banquet set before us. And like, for example, the langar that the Sikhs presented, to show their seva, that is their selfless service to their spiritual sisters and brothers who come to dine of their delicious food without any charge. So it is this love that that's so invaluable that you can't put a price on it. And so, in all the ways that the Parliament brings people together to be expressions of that humanity and that love is profoundly beautiful. And I know many people who have been transformed personally because of this experience. And when they experience the Parliament, it can be something so radically different from what they have ever experienced before. And it's that kind of inner shift that takes place, combined and multiplied many times over, that can actually create the tipping point to transformation globally. And so as we continue to engage on global issues throughout the year, which I think is very, very important to do, as well as provide the huge international platform, the umbrella under which we can all come together and celebrate life together. The Parliament is engaging on global issues throughout the year and through its programmatic arms of its task forces. So I'd like to share that we have the following task forces on women, Indigenous people, countering hate, war, and violence, justice, climate action, Next Gen, and the UN. And these different task forces put on the morning plenary sessions to demonstrate the significance of these global issues that the Parliament is seriously looking at, addressing, and creating those spaces and those platforms for people to be able to continue to share throughout the year, which I think is very important to do. So we would like to have increasing engagement with other organizations as we ourselves demonstrate this paradigm of cooperation and stress the importance of moving out of the lens of insularity to the lens of global engagement. And you yourself, through your Unity Earth, also is demonstrating the importance of this kind of engagement. People from different walks of life, different experiences, different disciplines coming together to be together and share these precious moments of time and make these connections. So it is also a huge networking experience. And I know many people who met at the Parliament become lifelong friends, and they stay in touch and they look forward to being able to get together again through these sessions where we can just really share a meal, break bread together, and spend these precious moments together, because it becomes like a family. So we are actually creating a family on a huge scale, where we are all, from diverse cultures, diverse countries, and yet we underline it all are really the same. And that sameness is that universal life force that runs through all of life. And the Parliament has also issued joint calls for actions on important global issues as well. So, for example, we had a call on the nuclear issue, and we had a joint call on racism, and we also issued a COVID-19 pandemic statement. So the call is to help us to call out the importance of what is the global issue at hand that needs to be addressed, and to raise the voice of advocacy, to raise awareness about the issue, as well as the voice of inspiration. So the voice of inspiration is also very important, because when we are consumed by so many global challenges, we do need to bring in that element of hope and inspiration to constantly put forth the vision of, a future in which this paradigm of cooperative engagement can speak to our working together, and together we will be able to overcome whatever challenges may be at hand. And to be able to work together means that we simultaneously work on our inner lives to develop our spiritual selves, so that we can be together with that greater love and compassion. So all the calls stress our fundamental values and a common morality to engage together, to work together, and to address these issues together, because it is only together that we will be able to overcome them. And so that's why it's very important for the Parliament to join with Unity Earth. And we have also, done a lot of work with United Religions Initiative, Religions for Peace, and, Charter for Compassion. So all of these great organizations starting to come together and unify, and here's that powerful word again, unify our actions so that we can stand together to be that one voice.
Well, that is a beautiful vision, Audrey. And it was interesting when I went to Melbourne, my first Parliament in my home city in 2009, I was struck by that it's not just religious people coming together and talking about religion or matters of even faith or spirituality, but that it really was about the ecological degradation, and it was about climate justice, and it was about justice for women, and the role of equality and education for girls, and very grounded social issues, along with the more spiritual faith-based kind of discussions. I was struck by that. And it's interesting, Audrey, that was a catalyst. My experience at the Parliament, you talk about people being moved and changed. It was a catalyst in 2009, because I was here, and sadly, while I was amazed, I was one of the 10,000 people that got to go to the Parliament, I was amazed that the media really, sadly, aren't that naturally interested in good news happening in the interfaith or religious space. As soon as something bad happens, of course, boom, that's right. It's something negative is front page. But something as incredibly positive as what I experienced, I was a bit frustrated, and that led me to really thinking about what can we do to add a bit of, to get a bit of media attention to this good work that's happening. And that was very much causal in creating the first U-Day festival in Chiang Mai in 2012. It was, well, let's bring some music and some reggae and some interfaith into the interfaith aspects, inspired by the Parliament. So that was really the beginning of the journey that led us here today, 11th of September, here in Chicago, on the Caravan of Unity, and to celebrate the heritage of the Parliament of World's Religions. We are converging in this place and in this space. And just as we come to the conclusion of this wonderful talk, Audrey, thank you so much for this dialogue. It's been very enriching for me, and I hope for people who see it. But I know a lot of people are wondering, and I need to ask you, what happens next? What are your deliberations about where the Parliament may go from here, and what can we look forward to over the next few months and years?
You know, Ben, the beauty that we are learning is part of the ability, like, for example, you know, no matter what antibiotics we throw at bacteria, somehow they overcome that and they go to their next stage of evolution and become even more powerful. So, you know, that is almost showing this kind of map of how to survive in the world is through our ability to be flexible, to be adaptable, to learn from what is going on, and to make yourselves better in not so much reactivity, but learning to be proactive, because there have been so many global challenges, and many of them are repeats of, you know, like natural disasters, and it seems as if, you know, we constantly scramble to learn all over again. What should we do? What should be done? And so, you know, from that simple bacteria, there's a lot that we can learn, you know, to be able to meet whatever challenges exist and to become better and better and continuously improve. That requires flexibility. So the ability to adapt, to change, because Lord Buddha said, the world is impermanent. So in its impermanence, you are constantly meeting change. So of course, you know, we never had a global shutdown before. But this global shutdown has not only caused a pause in how we have been conducting our lives, but also it's created all kinds of increased avenues of connectivity in the virtual world. And of course, now in the development of our technologies, we have that alternative way of convening. So I think it is important, you know, for all organizations that are conveners to be able to see the handwriting on the wall and to see how we must be proactive in planning for such situations which become unprecedented in our history. And so, like, for example, now in Melbourne, when we went there were fires going on. And that, you know, had some impact on whether or not people would be able to attend that convening. When we went to Barcelona, I think there was some, you know, event that spooked some people about some possibly, you know, behaviors on the train, the terrorist behaviors, but, you know, the details and the facts, of course, we don't know. But so these global events that are, you know, perhaps acts of God or out of our ability to control certainly impresses upon all of society or that community that's experiencing that kind of situation. So, you know, we also must be able to study what is going on the global landscape and to come up to speed on all of the different virtual technologies and to be prepared, to be flexible for any eventuality that can still maintain the Parliament's unique signature ability to bring people together and to experience the joy of togetherness and to share our stories and to tell all of our love for humanity in our songs and in our dances, in our sharing of our particular stories, and all of the good ideas that we have, the new ideas, the new conversations that spark dynamic movement for change. So truly, the external world is constantly changing, and it is impermanent. However, our ability to continue to survive and thrive in the face of constant change speaks to our ability to reach deep down inside of ourselves and to tap into that creative self that ever whispers to us in the silence, to be able to have the flexibility to change. And so we shall see what that change brings. And that's part of the mystery in life. And that is also part of the tantalizing details of what may come down the road for the Parliament. I know everyone would like for us to announce the new host city. And, you know, I can't give that secret. It'll take out all the tantalization out of the anticipation. But, you know, of course, you know, we are also being very serious about being able to continue the moments of powerful transformation. And together, may those special moments magnify and grow, that we can create transformation on a global scale for the betterment of humanity.
Amen. Well, Audrey, thank you so much for being with us today. Necessity is the mother of invention. So we'll see what beautiful mysteries may emerge as the Parliament reinvents itself after 127 years in the new world that we're in. It's been such a delight to be with you today, Audrey. Thank you for being with us on the Caravan of Unity on this Chicago stop as we honor and celebrate and give thanks for the Parliament's 127-year history, legacy, and ongoing contribution to the evolution of humanity.
And thank you, Ben, for your good work, and may we continue to deepen our engagement to bring harmony among all the religions and among all peoples of the world.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey.